So what is going on, guys? I'm Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we are back with a Q&A, the series where I take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content, but let's get into it. Here we go, and enjoy. So the first question of the day is from Power Games, and you say, what happened to the other kids? Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey. Well, we know in our very last zombies map, Tagged Totem, we see Nikolai destroys the summoning key. But what we also know is, within inside of the key, there was some souls of some of our characters. One of those was the Shadow Man, and then we also had the souls of Dempsey and Takeo. I believe, if I'm not wrong, even though this was never confirmed, those other characters that we killed in Shadows of Evil, the people that we had to sacrifice, it's possible that they were also inside of here as well. But we definitely know three souls that was Takeo, Dempsey, and the Shadow Man. As for Nikolai, well, since we know Garrod Kurovi didn't happen as part of the broken cycle, so his soul isn't inside of the key, but Takeo and Dempsey's is. What does this mean though? Well, I don't believe too much. You do say in this question, what happened to the other kids? And well, the simple answer would be, they don't exist. Remember, the souls of Takeo, Nikolai, and Dempsey were only given to Dr. Monty and Garrod Kurovi, and it was at that point he turned them into children, and since Garrod Kurovi doesn't happen, because we are now a part of the broken cycle, the children never existed. At this point in Tagged Totem, they were still souls inside of the summoning key. So yes, if Takeo and Dempsey were still trapped inside of the key when it got destroyed in Tag, wouldn't that mean that their souls were destroyed along with that? It's the same for the Shadow Man. We do know once the key was destroyed, that also destroyed the multiverse and in turn banished everything that spewed forth from the ether back to the dark ether. This included Element 115, the Apothecans, Dr. Monty. We even see in the ending cutscene, Victus are banished to the dark ether as well, but we don't see that happen to the Shadow Man, and we don't see it happen to whatever's trapped inside of the summoning key. So I'm kind of like 50-50. It is possible that the souls were banished to the dark ether as well, but because they were inside of it when it was destroyed, is it possible that they were just destroyed at the same time? It's a difficult one to answer. Can you actually destroy a soul? I'm not too sure. Something I've kind of been wondering is, why did Richtofen get to survive as a child in the form of Eddie, yet the child versions of the other characters, Dempsey, Takeo, and Nikolai, they don't get to exist? They're totally wiped out of existence, yet Richtofen, being Eddie, and Samantha get to go on and live in a new world. Why couldn't they also allow the child versions of Dempsey, Takeo, and Nikolai to live? But then again, maybe the answer to that is staring us right in the face. That could never have happened because it was only Dr. Monty who could do this. It was him who turned the souls into children in the first place, and since we're trying to break the cycle, of course he's not gonna do that now. But I will just say, I do think it's a little bit unfair. The next question from Freestylers Football says, hey BOA, how are there different types of zombies instead of one? So I'm not 100% sure what you mean by this question. Do you mean, why are there different types being different powers, different elements? Or do you mean different types as in just how they look? Because of course these zombies are styled different depending on which map they are in. I'm going to assume you don't mean that one and you're asking, why do some of the zombies have different elements to them and different abilities in a way? Because for example, we have the normal zombies, and then on different maps being Shangri-La, we also see other types being the Napalm zombie and the Shrieker. On Alpha Omega we see the different elemental zombies and the electrified hellhounds, the electrified crawlers, the bombers I think they were called. Well, it isn't really explained to us in each map why we see the different types of zombies. We're never given an explanation behind the Napalm or the Shrieker, what their origins are, where their powers actually come from, whether they gained them naturally or were given them when they were created by Group 935 or the Americans, the Russians. This is really one of those questions in most cases that isn't explained to us. I mean, we can assume the Nova 6 crawlers, since they were created by Group 935, they were given their different powers, like on Moon they are able to teleport, on Kino they are just Nova 6, on Dai-Rise they are jumping jacks, but then again we don't have information behind them. This is one of those ones that's difficult to answer because besides from the bare bones standard zombie, we aren't told how some of them have different abilities. So unfortunately that's all I can say for that one. The next question of the day from Mr. Blade Boy says, hey BOA, what does the text on the Thunder Gun say? This is a very simple one to answer. I'm assuming most of you watching this don't speak Russian, since we know this is a Russian weapon. It was created by the Ascension group, especially Gersh and Yuri, but this right here says warning. Warning about what? I'm not too sure. Maybe the power of the weapon, or don't touch it if you don't know how to use it. It's definitely one of my favourites and one of the best wonder weapons in the game though. The next question of the day says, in the Blood of the Dead trailer, why does Brutus torture the Primis crew and not kill them? Why doesn't he just kill them and get it over with? So in the Blood of the Dead gameplay trailer, we can see many different things going on. These trailers we've been having for our zombies maps for quite a long time now, I believe since the start of BO3, and actually for the final 2 maps, Alpha Omega and Tag der Toten, unfortunately we never got one, which was pretty sad because they reveal an alternate look at our zombies maps that we don't get to usually see. In this trailer, as you say in your question, we can see Brutus torturing the Primis crew in many different ways. If for some reason you haven't actually seen this in full, I will link it down in the description. But one of the first ones, as you see here, we have Brutus chaining up Nikolai. He's hanging him above the lava pit, I'm assuming to burn him to death. We also see other scenes such as Takeo and Brutus fighting. Brutus here goes to hit Takeo with his baton but misses, and Takeo does an absolutely epic move on him. We then have Brutus here holding Takeo's dead body. I would assume he's dead unless he's unconscious, but he just throws him into the sea. And if you just go through the trailer in general, we see many scenes of Brutus and Primis just battling it out. Sometimes the Primis crew win and defeat Brutus, and other times Brutus wins and defeats Primis. But why are we seeing Brutus torture Primis in this way? For example, in the scene where he chains up, was it Nikolai? I forgot now. But in that scene, why is he chaining him up? Why doesn't he just kill him there and then? Why is he hanging him above the fire to burn to death? And even in game when Brutus is coming towards us, it's almost like he's not always trying to kill us. He's more trying to make us suffer and torment us. And well, that was kind of his job. Not necessarily to kill Primis, or specifically in this instance, he was after Richthofen, but his main priority wasn't necessarily to kill him, it was to make him suffer and get his blood. If you listen to one of the radios in Blood of the Dead, you can hear this conversation between the Warden, who we know eventually turns into Brutus, and the Shadow Man.
My lord, I entreat thee to speak. I have done as you asked. The remaining 3 of the first 4 shall die by electric chair this evening, and soon after I shall join them. It will be glorious in this new realm, Lord, I have no doubt, but I confess, I am afraid. This form is weak and has taken to drink, but I do cling to it still. Please, grant me the strength to...
Grant you the strength? Oh, you poor, pathetic wretch. I will grant you nothing until your death. You know this.
Yes, my lord, of course. My life is part of the disease, and the disease must be purged. I rejoice that that day has come.
But you are a base, disgusting creature that cannot help fearing for its own skin. It is not your fault.
Thank you for saying so, my lord. Truth be told, I long for the miracle that will release me.
That's a good lad. You have been an adequate servant. Therefore you will continue to serve after the corruption.
Such an honor for me.
Not an honor. A purpose. Your life's sentence. Waiting for Dr. Edward Richthofen to walk into the trap.
The Doctor. I've heard mention of him amongst the Illuminati. What would you have of him?
His blood holds great power. You will harness it all and open the way to the paradise below.
I swear, my lord, it will be done.
And one more thing.
Name it, my lord.
Spare him no pain.
Yes, Richthofen shall suffer.
So as we know, it was the Shadow Man along with the Warden who actually trapped Primis in Alcatraz. The reason for that was so they could get his blood and then use it to open the paradise below, freeing the Shadow Man, releasing the Apothecans and allowing them to enter Argotha. That was the reason why they wanted to get Richtofen's blood, and so in order to do that, they trapped him in Alcatraz. But not only did the Shadow Man want Richtofen's blood, he also wanted him to suffer. He wanted Brutus to torment him and spare him no pain. He didn't just want to kill Richtofen, he wanted to make him hurt. Obviously, in the end, the Shadow Man, in a way, I guess, kind of got what he wanted because Primis Richtofen did end up dying. However, it wasn't to the Shadow Man or Brutus, it was his own doing. He killed himself so Primis could escape Alcatraz and they could finally break the cycle. But yeah, the reason why we see Brutus torturing Primis and Richtofen in the trailer is because that's what the Shadow Man wanted. He didn't just want his blood, he wanted him to suffer. And so, there we go. That is it for today, guys. That is all I have for you. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Leave your questions down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.